Engineering businesses gathered Wednesday to network with aerospace leaders and share their vision for the future of technology.
23 News reporter Kaylee Randall talks with aerospace experts and businesses on why these conferences are so beneficial.
We've got robots that'll move parts around your facility floor.
At any given moment, there's probably 15,000 of our circuit boards flying over our heads right now.
And we consult to help them get to a point where certification, if applicable, they're ready for that.
From robotic arms to circuit boards to ISO certification, these small businesses make up the Midwest Aerospace Conference and the entire industry.
So this right here is a universal robot.
And back for its third year, our Flutie company creates an AI employee that could make testing spacecraft parts faster and safer.
And what it's doing is simulating someone who would pick up the part, move it around, inspect it, and what we're doing is we're basically automating it.
A robotics specialist says the robot mocks what a human would do, but how does this apply to aerospace?
A lot of times aerospace companies have a lot of machined aluminum parts, and so that requires an operator taking a piece of metal, putting it into a machine center, hitting a button, and waiting.
And now the human operator won't have to.
The more these technologies continue to invest in this area, it sustains the workforce we have as well as grows it, and it brings in advanced manufacturing technologies and allows us to keep investing in the local community.
Rockford is the 6th largest aerospace cluster in the nation, and more than 200 engineering companies that attended the conference play a large role in the industry. According to aerospace experts, these companies could bring our world closer to a decarbonized footprint.
We're looking and talking about the technologies that will sustain and be developed over the next 15, 20 years that really drive the industry to a net zero decarbonized footprint.
Working for you in Rockford, Kaylee Randall, 23 News.
The Rockford Area Economic Development Council says if a business wants to be a part of the Aerospace Network, they need to go to the RAED website and sign up. Anyone with an interest in aerospace is welcome.